can we talk a little bit at all? I know it's very early about how he died or when he died.
I am so glad that she asked that question. I know that's on my mind at least.
So, were there any clues to try to figure out whether he had been on the run all this time or if he went straight to Limestone Mountain?
These reporters are really on the ball with these questions today.
This case officially closed in Coroner County now.
And today I stand before you again with news that we have received our DNA results back from the Washington State Patrol's crime lab.
Hi y'all, welcome back. If this is your first time here, well, welcome aboard. And do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and make sure that you hit that bell notification and turn it to all so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos that I put out. And if you wouldn't mind, please like this video and share if you feel that this video is shareable. Thank you. And always remember the reason why we are here. 3 beautiful little angels, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. And we are going to be getting answers to these questions and many more questions from the reporters. Just stick around with me and we're going to jump on into the press conference where they confirm whether or not the remains were Travis Decker's or not according to the DNA. Also, if y'all watched all the way till the end, I found a little surprise interview for y'all that I included some little snippets from. So keep on watching.
Do you think we'll ever know the exact cause of death?
The content you are about to watch contains the subject matter of a real-life true crime event. Therefore, it is not suitable for all ages and is only intended for adults.
Good afternoon, everyone. Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming here. We're coming full circle. We're looking about 4 months ago. We were just sitting here breaking the news about this tragic situation of the deaths of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. And today I stand before you again with news that we have received our DNA results back from the Washington State Patrol's crime lab from the items that we recovered last week. That would be the clothing and also the human remains. We are glad to say that those remains do come back as a positive match for Travis Decker.
After what they ended up telling us at the press conference last week that they ended up finding with the remains, did anybody really have any doubt that these results were not going to be positive? Put it down there in the comments for me. Did you have any doubt that these results were going to come back positive?
It's a big day for Chelan County Sheriff's Office, all of our federal partners, that we can finally bring a close to this dark chapter of Chelan County. Certainly pay respects to the deaths of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. We wanted to show honor to them, let them know that we never forgot about them. We haven't forgotten about their family. To Whitney, we apologize that it's taken this long to get the closeness and the closure that we are looking for in this case, but I hope that you can rest easier at night knowing that Travis is accounted for. He is deceased. Our DNA results confirm that, and this will bring a close to our case.
Now, hold up a minute there, Sheriff. I do have a little bit of an issue with that statement that you just said, and this will bring a close to our case. So just because you ended up finding Travis's remains, you did confirm through DNA that it is Travis's remains, so you know for sure that it is Travis. But you still, as far as I know, have not confirmed how or why he expired. So how can you close Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia's case not knowing how Travis expired? Because if Travis did not expire at his own hands or expire from the elements, and there was another party involved, then doesn't that mean that there is a possibility that there is more to the girls' case as well? So technically, you cannot really close the girls' case until you know why and or how Travis ended up expiring. Am I wrong? I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know down there in the comments.
I want to thank our detectives, our investigative unit, for the amount of time, effort, and just overall sacrifice that they put in. They never relented on this case. They remained focused, and they made sure that, number one, justice was served.
But has justice really been served just because you ended up finding Travis's remains? What do y'all think? Let me know down there in the comments.
And most importantly, the law prevailed in this situation. We appreciate all of our federal partners, the FBI, the U.S. Forest Service, the U.S. Marshals Service, who will come up and talk after me, and then we'll take questions after that. We also had our partners at the Criminal Investigation Division, Border Patrol with their Borat team, and also the Borstar team. We couldn't have done this by ourselves. We're medium-sized agencies, I've said throughout this process. We appreciate our federal partners standing up alongside of us, assisting us. We appreciate the Washington State Patrol. Specifically, I'd like to give thanks to operational psychologist Stacy Gutchett and her work and her forensics analysis of Mr. Decker that assisted us in our fourth search, pointed us in the direction of Grindstone Mountain, an area of interest that we wanted to search, and her insight and guidance led us to an important area to search where we did eventually locate Mr. Decker. Again, we couldn't have done this by ourselves. I want to thank the King County Sheriff's Office, the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, the Spokane County Sheriff's Office for also coming alongside of us, allocating their air assets to us. We could not have done it by ourselves if we had not had the rappelling capabilities that we had from the helicopters. Again, we would have struggled. It would have taken months longer, and we're thankful for that. But most importantly, to our community, thank you. Thank you for supporting us, being patient. We wanted this wrapped up within the first couple of days. We knew it took months. We knew that you sat on edge as we were also stressed out about this situation. But again, you never wavered your support from us. We're grateful for that. We haven't forgot it. And we hope that you can also rest easy at night knowing that Mr. Decker is accounted for. Unfortunately, he's deceased. To his family, my condolences to you. I understand this could be your brother, your son, your family member. We never wanted any harm to come to him. But unfortunately, the circumstances are what they are. He succumbed to whatever injuries those were.
Succumb to whatever injuries those were. Is there something that you're not telling us about there, Sheriff? Did y'all see something on the remains that indicated he may have received injuries that he would not have received just out there in the elements? What exactly does that sentence mean? Is there something hidden under those words? What do y'all think? Put it down there in the comments. Do you think that there's something more to that sentence that the sheriff just said? Or is this just simply a generalized sentence that he ended up saying based on the fact that they ended up finding the remains? And obviously this person did not expire just from natural causes. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that they're just not telling us everything? Let me know. What do you think?
We're going to hear back from our coroner's office, the medical examiner, if they're able to get a cause of death or a time of death. But we appreciate them also working with us, working closely with us, and also being respectful of those remains as we found them. We will hand them back over to his family when the time's appropriate. But we just thank everyone that has come alongside the Chelan County Sheriff's Office, the media, who has also been here assisting us as we've kept Mr. Decker's face out there in public. I know at times a lot of the citizens, not only here in Washington State, but nationally, were wondering when are we going to get closure to this case. Again, we needed the media to do this. We needed them to keep their face out there so we could have Travis, if he was out beyond our borders, at least under some pressure. But again, fate had what it was. We were able to locate him. And again, we appreciate it. I'm going to let the U.S. Marshals Service also present. They've been alongside us from day one. We appreciate that partnership, the resources, the finances they put into this. We couldn't have done it without them. Same with the FBI, but the Marshals Service really took on a heavy burden for us, overseeing the search efforts, while our detective investigative units went and focused primarily on the investigation, knowing that we were getting ready for a criminal trial. This was a triple homicide. We never lost sight of that. This was also a kidnapping. We never lost sight of that. Before I conclude, though, I also want to make sure that I pay thanks specifically to the Wenatchee Police Department, Detective Hewitt. If it had not been for his tireless effort, the days coming up to Monday when we jumped into this investigation, we would have had 2,900 square miles that we've had to search without any real guidance. His efforts, the Wenatchee Police Department's, their investigative unit, certainly gave us a leg up to be able to track them down, get to the site quickly. We thank Deputy Mike McLeod for his quick work in finding that campsite. But again, not only nationally with our federal partners, state partners, but regionally, we had help with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, East Wenatchee Police Department, Wenatchee Police Department. But specifically, I want to make sure Detective Hewitt was recognized for his efforts, his work. He certainly gave us everything we needed to jump into this investigation and get there quickly. And they continued to stay beside us, talking with Whitney and the family, making sure that they were talking with them as we were focusing on the investigation. So I just want to make sure I said thank you to them as well. I'll let the Marshal's Office speak, and then after that, we'll take any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Jerome Brown with the Marshals Service. I'm based out of Spokane, Washington. I'm the supervisor for the task force. The first time I spoke before this podium, I promised you that we would not stop until we found the fugitive. My job and my team's job is to find the fugitives using the Rapid Advancing Manhunt program, which we did, along with the help from the partners that was mentioned from the sheriff already. There's numerous to mention. I'm not going to go over the list again, but without the community, which is what this truly is about, law enforcement community, family community, community members that are out here present. Without all of you, we could not have done this. This is a team, truly team, family endeavor. That's why this was successful. So remember that when you go home, that we were supported with food, roofs, things when we needed them to accomplish our mission as a law enforcement community. You helped us and supported us in that endeavor. That's why we are successful. So, again, thank you to everybody, and I'll go into questions unless Sheriff has something else.
No, we'll open up to questions.
Are you able to talk a little bit at all? I know it's very early about how he died or when he died.
I am so glad that she asked that question. I bet that question is on a lot of y'all's mind out there. I know it's a question that is definitely on my mind. It is a great question for the first question right out the gate.
We're going to leave it up to the coroner's office. Coroner Harris has already confirmed that they're doing the best they can with their medical partners to determine if they can determine a cause of death and also how long he had been deceased when he was out there. Again, we understand that process takes time. We did not get full remains. We have gotten majority of the remains back. But again, that's a process, and we're hoping that they are able to determine that because we know that some of the community wanted to know. But as of now, we don't have those answers.
So, were there any clues to try to figure out whether he had been on the run all this time or he went straight to Limestone Mountain?
These reporters are really on the ball with these questions today.
Based off the information we have, it appears that the potential of him going directly up Grindstone Mountain shortly after the event or within that day would be pretty consistent. But again, we'll look at the time frame once we hear back from the coroner's office, and hopefully we can get a clearer picture on what was the cause of death. Again, if it was anything outside of what would be an explainable cause of death and it wasn't at Mr. Decker's own decision by his own hand, we would investigate that as a separate homicide.
So if it does turn out that Travis's expiration turns into a homicide investigation, you have prematurely ended up closing the girls' case, depending on the circumstances of Travis's homicide. And this is what I really do not understand. Why are you so quick to want to close the girls' case as soon as you get confirmation that these remains are Travis Decker's, being that you do not know yet how or why Travis ended up expiring? I don't get it. Maybe somebody else out there can explain to me why it is that they want to close Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia's case so fast, even though they don't know exactly what happened to Travis yet, because there could be more to the girls' case if it turns out that Travis was red-rummed. What do y'all think? Go ahead, let me know down there in the comments, because this is the part that has me so frustrated right now about this case.
Again, we will pay respects to him. We'll honor his family as well. But we'll wait to hear what the coroner's office and the medical examiner has to say.
Sheriff, how were you able to zero in on this one specific tiny area that we planned?
So this was our fourth search. It was a planned search. We appreciate the U.S. Marshals overseeing that, taking it on. The FBI had done our third one. After that, this was the area that we had been speaking with the Washington State Patrol and their operational psychologist, who I mentioned before. That would be Stacy Chuckett. Really appreciate her insight. So we did get forensics analysis when it came back from the U.S. Marshal Service, the FBI, with their forensic psychologist, and of course the Washington State Patrol. And she had highlighted an area of interest that was on Grindstone Mountain. She even guesstimated about what elevation we were looking at, and we really appreciate her insight. She brought certainly a different perspective than we had received from the FBI or the Marshal Service. But again, we were taking information as we could throughout this investigation. It was rapidly evolving. I think we utilized our resources as best as possible. And the last iteration, Washington State Patrol coming in with this contracted operational psychologist, certainly gave us a different area to look at, but it was always something that we were going to check next as our search area continued to expand out.
Sheriff, what was kind of the clues that led to that area being, as you mentioned, an area of interest?
It was outside of the three search areas that we already checked. It was certainly within sight of our original crime scene. And we knew also with the information that had been obtained with the psychologist there from Washington State Patrol that they viewed that would be an area that they might have singled out, Mr. Decker might have viewed out as an area that he would have headed.
Sheriff, I saw that there was a tip line. How many people did that tip line? Did rumors or any other leads kind of prolong like the lead, or was that difficult in that?
Yeah. So certainly we were running our tip line. We really appreciate the FBI coming in and overseeing that over the first couple of days of the operation. You're going at thousands of tips coming in, and then of course it slowly dwindled down. But you're hearing leads that everyone was telling us, you've missed it. He's already in Canada. He's in Mexico. Clearly, we have the Marshal Service. They have relationships as well with international partners. We did have international partners in Mexico and Canada following up on leads, along with naturally here. We had viewings in Montana, Idaho, Texas. So again, we appreciate our national resources that we had. Also, we had local resources in different states that were willing to step up, assist us, track down leads. Again, we couldn't have done this by ourselves, but certainly we weren't overlooking any tip that came in, any bit of advice that we had. But it certainly strained our resources that we did have, but we primarily kept our focus here with our investigators, and eventually we got the results we were looking for.
Sheriff, can you tell us just how...
Whitney and kind of walk us through how the family opened at this time, whether this is what it's devastated
Yeah. Yeah, so I've been in touch with Whitney. We've certainly tried to respect her privacy throughout this process. We know that she's grieving, the family's grieving. We've told her that we will share information that she feels appropriate. We had a general idea. I'd like to thank Captain Chance with Wenatchee Police Department. He really was the point of contact primarily with the family. But when we did have press releases that came out that I felt would be more shocking to the conscience, we did try to communicate that with her so she wasn't taken back by it. But we understand no matter what, this is not going to bring Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia back. If anything, we just hope that maybe she would sleep better at night. She wouldn't be looking over her shoulder. But we understand nothing we can do is going to reverse this travesty and bring her daughters back, which we feel for that. But we certainly have done everything we can to be supportive of her and respect her privacy and keep her informed when she needed to be.
Can you tell us how it feels for you personally and for your department by the end of thing?
My focus is more back on my agency. I understand that a lot of our deputies have taken a huge toll when they're sitting there on the crime scene for hours on end. Our detectives are having to read through these reports, the fine details of the case that no officer in his law enforcement career should really have to read through. So I certainly am focusing on them, making sure that they have the support they need with psychologists, critical incident stress management, peer supporters. We've done everything we can to make sure we're supporting on that front. I would say personally that I certainly view it as a win for our community that we can close this. This has been a very dark chapter. You're looking at one of the largest manhunts in Chelan County history, one of the most horrific crimes that we've seen in Chelan County, and we're glad to put it behind us. Personally, I certainly just feel for the family. I couldn't imagine that as a father to lose any of my kids, especially all three.
I am right there with you, Sheriff. Being a mother of two boys, I just could not even imagine, nor do I ever want to. And I am extremely grateful that I have never had to experience what Whitney is going through. And my heart and my thoughts and prayers go out to Whitney and her family for what they are going through.
And I hope that we never see anything like this in Chelan County again. But personally, I'm just glad to see it's closing out and we're putting it behind it. And number one, above all, that we found Mr. Decker. He's accounted for. And then we can say that threat to our community is confirmed, no longer a threat.
This case eventually goes to now.
We will go through the final processes of closing out the case. We know that our detectives still have some things to wrap up. We still consider this to be a criminal case. We're making sure that we've documented all of our evidence, that we've completed all of our reports, and that we've done what we need to do to process the evidence we have. We do not believe there are any other suspects, anything else we need to follow up on, but we want to make sure it's closed properly.
In my opinion, if you really wanted to make sure that it was closed properly, you would wait to hear back from the ME and the coroner on the cause and manner.
Sheriff, do you think you've gotten any closer, or may you ever get close to the reason why Mr. Decker might have died?
No, I don't think we'll ever have a true reason. I don't think it really matters what his reasoning was. In our view, and based off the evidence we have, he committed murder. It's inexcusable. It's inexplainable. And we would have liked to, of course, heard his thought process and what he was thinking at the time. But I don't think anything he said would have justified it. The bottom line is our community is now down 3 young girls that would have been our bright future. They're not here. I know several members of our agencies had their kids interacting with them on sporting events and other personal events. So it's a loss for us personally, too. We recognize that those girls are gone for their family. They're not going to be able to enjoy birthdays, other memories, first dances, first sporting events, even first jobs. So I certainly feel for them. I understand that is a huge loss. And I certainly will be sending my prayers towards them, hoping that they can find some kind of closure on this.
Do you see to the state waited for me to touch on the phone with it last week. Like, he said, so I like the any indication about why these and like the road since the college like past any of these samples. Think of the remain?
No, I would say the biggest challenge to the results was me personally. I requested more than they're used to. I appreciate Chief Batiste and his team being flexible and willing to adjust. I did not want to take any chance of just coming back with samples from the clothing. I wanted samples from the remains that were also located there. I know this was an unusual request for the State Patrol. I appreciate them humoring me on this, but we also want to make sure we shut down conspiracy theories. Mr. Decker did not bring anyone else up there and leave the remains behind. This is Mr. Decker's remains. The clothing matches, the remains match. That is the end of the conversation. This is why we asked them to take their time, test more samples. And again, I have to follow the lead that our detectives did. They have been thorough by the book and have not rushed any process through this. So when we're making this request to the Washington State Patrol, I understand that it took more time, but I certainly have to follow our investigators' leads and say, go the extra mile. Don't rush this investigation to make sure it's closed out properly. I think we did that. Though it's frustrating to our community, I understand that. And to others, the Sheriff's Office did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Is there any specific estimate of how many personnel across all the agencies work together throughout this entire process?
I would say hundreds. In the search alone that the FBI coordinated, we were over 100 personnel that were on the ground searching, in addition to the amount of money that each agency has contributed. Had the Chelan County Sheriff's Office and the Chelan County government itself had to absorb the cost of this, it would have bankrupted our county. So thank you to the FBI, thank you to the U.S. Forest Service, thank you to Border Patrol, thank you to the Marshals, thank you to every single municipality and county agency that came out, contributed funds. Again, we couldn't have done this by ourselves. And I've heard you spend a lot of money. I guarantee if it was your kids, you would ask me to spend the same amount of money.
Exactly.
So if I had to do it over again, we'd do it exactly the same way to ensure that justice was served and, again, that the law prevailed.
Is this the largest manhunt seen in the future?
I'm not sure on the nation. I certainly have our subject matter expert here, but for Chelan County, this certainly takes the largest manhunt that I think we've ever seen, that we've ever heard of. And we did talk to former members of our agency, but I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before.
Sure. Is there a timeline for the reporters on this? Is when they have some more definitive results of what caused the manner?
They said it could take months. I'm not the subject matter expert in here, but I know that Coroner Harris was open to have any questions on that front to be redirected back over towards him. Certainly someone I would trust his opinion. He's done an excellent job for not only the industry, but our county for several years. We're going to miss him, but I know we've got a good candidate coming up behind him with Deputy Earl Crow that's going to be taking that position potentially. So we've got good people in there. I know they'll get the results when they get them.
The sheriff was just speaking about the fact that Coroner Harris is due to retire at the end of this year, 2025.
Anything else from anybody?
Thank you for your hard work, Sheriff.
Well, it was definitely a group effort. The Sheriff's Office didn't do this by ourselves. I know I get to stand up here and take some credit, but we didn't do this by ourselves. It certainly was a group effort. The Marshal Service was key. Again, they took on the workload that was this manhunt. The FBI was certainly pulling every string they could behind the scenes, getting additional resources. If we hadn't got the additional funding for that third search, I get that we didn't get the results we wanted to, but we certainly did everything and was showing that we weren't willing to give up. We were going to continue to do what we need to do, but we're just appreciative for all of our partners that came alongside us. And most importantly, and I want to say this too, like our deputies stepped up every single day while we were out here taking on fires, as we're seeing here. The 365-day, 24/7 coverage that we provided was still being taken care of. You've seen our deputies at work handling other cases, and I appreciate them too. They've done a lot of personal sacrifice, and we continue to be here and support them. Just appreciative of their efforts. I appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate you coming. And thank you for being supportive of us during this time. We're looking forward to closing this case out. And to Whitney, certainly hope you know that we never gave up. And Peyton, Evelyn, Olivia, their memories will live on forever. Thank you.
I found a little added bonus for y'all just before I finished up editing an interview that Nate Eaton had done with Coroner Harris. And I'm just going to play you a couple little snippets from that interview, and then I will link the interview down in the description so that y'all can watch the full interview. But he does give a little insight into the remains of Travis Decker and what's to come, basically, as far as their findings. findings.
So, Wayne, a lot of people have obviously been interested in the Travis Decker case, and there was some news last week. Can you just kind of get us up to speed, first of all, on the recovery efforts for finding his remains?
Great question right out of the gate there, Nate.
Yes, the Sheriff's Department continued search for his remains with the assistance of the U.S. Marshals and the FBI. Were able to locate some clothing and some bones. And then the team, it was a rugged and very difficult area to get to. So the search and rescue team went in there and recovered about a dozen bones, different bones, and had them airlifted down where our office picked them up and took them over to the state anthropologist who looked at the bones and tried to determine, first of all, they did determine they were human bones. And then they tried to determine if there were any injuries, fractures, or anything on the bones that shouldn't be there. And they didn't locate any. One of his feet was taken to the Washington State Patrol Crime Lab, where the Sheriff's Department had them fast track the DNA testing, and they were able to confirm that it was, in fact, Travis Decker.
The question that I would have asked here would have been, why one of his feet? Is there any reason in particular?
If somebody's body is out in the harsh, outside in the environment for 3 months, wouldn't there be more than bones, or is it possible to just disintegrate down to bones?
Well, based on where he was found and where he was allegedly went up to, he's in an area where there are a lot of bears and cougars. And so we believe that the animal activity probably reduced everything down to the bones.
So that makes total sense. So even if he wasn't attacked by a wild animal that caused his expiration, shall we say, he still could have been taken apart by the wild animals and scattered. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's foul play involved.
I see. Okay.
And that's why they were scattered around, and they were located in 5 different locations. The bones that we found, or they found, were in about 5 different locations, several hundred feet apart.
Now that part is news to me. I did not realize that they were found in 5 different locations and several hundred feet apart. No wonder it ended up taking them so long to find the little bit of remains that they did end up finding. I wonder if the clothing and the other items that they ended up finding were also scattered as well as the remains, or were all of those in one location? That would be a question to ask as well.
And so the majority of the remains have not been found yet or been located. And that's most likely due to animal activity moving them around.
Do you believe that he may have been the victim of an animal attack for his cause of death, or any idea at this point?
Yeah, there's just no way of knowing. There's so many scenarios that could have taken place, so many different causes of death that could have taken place. But without more of his remains, the torso or the cranium, and being able to have a forensic anthropologist examine those, there's just no way of knowing.
So apparently the torso and the cranium is missing. Did get curious and wanted to know if this is actually something normal that a wild animal would go after. So I did a little research, and I want to go ahead and share that with y'all in case you're curious as well, just like I was. Yes, bears and cougars are known to scavenge human remains in wilderness settings, and they often target the torso and cranium among other parts, leading to consumption, fragmentation, or dispersal of these elements. This behavior is well documented in forensic taphonomy studies, which analyze how animal activity affects decomposing bodies. While bears are more commonly involved in extensive scavenging of human remains due to their omnivorous and opportunistic nature, cougars scavenge less frequently, but can still cause significant damage when they do. In both cases, the torso, axial skeleton, including ribs and vertebrae, and cranium are vulnerable due to their nutrient-rich tissue and relatively fragile bone structure. I ended up finding this thing that tells you bear scavenging patterns and also cougar scavenging patterns. In my editing process, I'm going to put those up so that you can pause the video and you can read them for yourself if you would like, but I'm not going to read all of that. It is kind of getting a little bit into the kind of gruesome side of things. So if you would like to read them, that is totally up to you, and I will leave that at your discretion, but I will put them up there if you would like to read them. I do have another piece here that I do want to read, and it is normality of missing torso and cranium after 3 to 3.5 months. It is entirely entirely normal and expected not to recover the torso or cranium in such scenarios, as a combination of advanced decomposition, insect activity, and vertebrate scavenging typically results in widespread dispersal and partial skeletonization within 3 months in temperate wilderness environments. Faster in warm, humid conditions, exposed remains lose soft tissue within weeks, exposing bones to scavengers that further fragment and relocate elements. Dense diaphysis shafts of long bones may survive better, but the more fragile cranium and torso bones, ribs, vertebrae, are often destroyed or carried off. In a recent real-world example, human remains exposed for about 3 months in the Washington Cascades. Okay, so right in the general area of where Travis's remains were found. I lost my spot. Were found as scattered bone fragments and clothing items, with animal scavenging cited as the cause of dispersal, making full recovery challenging even with drones and search teams. Forensics recovery rates drop significantly after 1 to 2 months due to these factors, and missing central body parts align with patterns from bears or cougars. So are y'all thinking the same thing that I am? They're talking about Travis Decker here? What do y'all think? Put it down in the comments. So essentially what this is telling us is we might as well just give up on the fact of ever learning what happened to Travis Decker, because more than likely we are never going to learn what actually truly happened to him. And it's very unfortunate because that leaves this question just hanging there.
Whitney would tell you Travis loves 2 things in this world: those girls and Jesus.
In the case where it's just a skeletal remains, there's nothing to autopsy. That's where the forensic anthropologist comes in, and they examine all of the skeletal remains and look for any marks or injuries or defects or abnormalities on the skeletal, the bones, and then they can determine if there's any injury that might have been caused by somebody else or from a fall. I was going to say the cranium is a good indicator. If somebody fell and they hit their head, their cranium might have fractures in it. Obviously, if someone took their own life with a handgun, there would be an indication of a bullet hole and specific details on that bullet hole that will indicate it was a bullet.
And has Mr. Decker's cranium been found?
It has not.
Are you the one then that would actually perform an autopsy if there was enough there to do it, or does that get sent like to a lab?
That would go to a forensic pathologist, which I'm not.
Were you the one who went and retrieved the bodies of Mr. Decker's daughters?
No, that was my coworker, Earl Crow.
Do you think we'll ever know the exact cause of death for Travis Decker?
I think in short of not finding his torso or his cranium, I don't believe we'll ever know the answer.
Well, there you have it. Confirmation to this news article right here, straight from the coroner's mouth himself.
Okay.
And clearly the sheriff's department is not going to continue searching for the remains. It's just not a good use of resources. But I think that potentially sometime in the future, years down the road, maybe someone might be hiking up there or mountain climbing and find a cranium, and they will call the authorities, and then the authorities will recover that and turn it over to our office. And if we don't know who it is, then we can do DNA on the cranium and get a match and hopefully come up with some more answers.